Hey everyone, welcome to Taste Different Game Reviews. And what are we reviewing this time? Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is an action-adventure game following Spider-Man made by developer Insomniac Games. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be following anybody else, would it? Published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. Came out on October 20th, 2023. Single player game. Came out on PlayStation 5. You get to play as Spider-Mans 1 and 2. It's got all your characters. All the classics are there. This is Insomniac's third Spider-Man game, right? If you count Miles Morales as being their second one, even though that was more of a DLC, kind of a play off of the original Spider-Man on PS4, but it came out as a standalone, in your hand game, so it wasn't just paid DLC for the original. So I guess you would call this one the third Spider-Man game they've made. But Insomniac, they're a great developer, do a great job at making games, and so it's no less for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's always been a crowd favorite out there, and people seem to be really enjoying this one. But we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of Spider-Man 2. Shane, how about you, buddy? What do you think of Spider-Man's 2?
Thank you for whipping it over to me. Insomniac nailed it again. Not perfect, but it's a fantastic game. I'm going to say I like it better than these two, most likely. This game is not perfect, but it is a very solid game. Technical performance ran really well. I ran into one big problem, and then some graphical issues pop in, like things like that randomly here and there, but nothing that was like super distracting or anything like that. The big technical one was Spider-Man said, I'm going home, and went to the home screen of my PlayStation, and I had to restart it. So there's that. But don't let that worry you. That's probably 10 hours of gameplay at that time before it had any issues. So, but as far as gameplay goes itself, it's solid. They did what they did in the first one, and then they tightened it up a little bit. Gave you a lot more options, which that I'm kind of on the fence about, because you have to remember more things with those controls. You hold left L1. I always get PlayStation mixed up. You hold the L1 and then you hit your circle, triangle, pyramid, Egyptian things. And then you hold R1 and L1 and you do the same things. You get different abilities, blah, blah, blah. That's probably my biggest quirk on this, because I would get them mixed up hitting things. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means I'm a dumbass that can't keep his fingers straight. So don't agree that easy, guys. Shit. But the game is solid. I think graphically, as far as my experience goes, me and Pat talked about this a little bit. Graphically, I think the game is very, very nice looking. Now you can run it on Fidelity or you can run it on Performance. Fidelity looks really nice. I ran on Fidelity. I ran on Performance. Fidelity looks good. Looks really good. Now when you run a Performance, you're getting 60 frames. You're getting some cell shading shadow rendering crap and all that stuff, and it lowers down like pedestrian traffic, stuff like that a little bit, but you get a higher frame rate. I personally felt Fidelity was just fine, and you can play it there. Normally I run on Performance, but I played mostly on Fidelity with this, so I really enjoyed it. So game looks good. I think gameplay works fine. I think I have this probably a bigger gripe about boss fights on this one than I did the original. The original one, I thought the boss fights take a little too much. They doubled down. Boss fights on this one take frickin' forever. I fought one boss, and I swear to God, it was a 30-minute fight. And not that I was failing or anything. It's just that's how long the fight took from beginning to end, with all the, transition cutscenes between each portion of the fight, and then tons of dialogue. And the dialogue's great. Story's great so far. It's just those boss fights just take too damn long. It's like a Mario boss fight where you got 3 stages, except for Mario takes 5 minutes. These take 15 to 30. And that to me is a big problem. I think they padded it too much with that, but the story in those fights though carry it well enough for the most part. So it's probably more of a me thing, but I really enjoy the game. It's definitely a runner-up for Game of the Year. Just kidding. It's a damn good game, but it's not going to be their Game of the Year game. Maybe nominated, because we were kind of talking about that earlier. I do think the game probably I could have waited on if I wasn't reviewing it, because it really, I don't think, differed that much from the first 2 Spider-Man games. And Miles Morales was a $50 DLC. I don't care what Sony says. But, Pat, what about you, bud? Because I know I do superhero comic stuff. You do superhero movies, comic stuff. Nick, not so much. So we probably know more about the spider lore than Nick.
I'm going to have to unfortunately say that this game is not hitting for me for some reason. And I don't know why. I have no direct gripes about the game at all. The game looks good. I don't think it looks amazing. In Fidelity mode, I've got complaints about street level graphics. They just look like potato. All the bushes and trees just look like a shape. No texture to them sometimes. Street vendors will be hawking wares and it looks like a pile of dirt when it's supposed to be like potatoes or whatever they've got. And it's hard to tell. So, I mean, I have complaints about that, but that's just a visual thing at that point. The game performs very well. And I play it on Fidelity mode. I have no point to go back to performance mode because it doesn't seem to choke, for me at least, on Fidelity mode. So I've been playing it entirely in Fidelity mode. Boss fights, everything. Combat and everything is just like it used to. I do not like swapping between Miles and Peter. I really don't like that. And the problem is I get used to one of their skill sets and I'll play and just do all the fights and then I have to swap over the other one and I'm like, oh yeah, he doesn't have the AoE ability to, attack like this. He's got a different attack here. And I'll often do what Shane does. I'll hit the button and be like, oh crap, that was Miles. That wasn't Peter. Or I'll try to do something. Oh, that was Peter, not Miles. Dang it. I'll be honest with you. I play most of the game as Miles because I like his power set more than I like Peter's, so I like his character build out better than I like what they've done with Peter. So I typically, unless I'm forced to, because there's certain points in the game where you're forced to play as one character or the other, I typically play as Miles for most of it. So free roaming, I'm usually Miles. And that means I'm missing out on some of, because there's like specific free roaming things that you can do as Miles that you can't do as Peter and vice versa. So you have to swap between them at some point. To me, it just seems like a way to extend out the skill tree. Because in my opinion, the skill tree is rather boring as hell. The skill tree is just pretty lame. But, like I said, to me, it's just not grabbing me. I like Miles Morales. I love that game. I like Spider-Man. But this one to me is just not, it's not hitting for me. I'm struggling with trying to keep entertained with it. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just more of the same. Maybe I'm burnt out on superheroes. I don't know. But I like the Spider-Man games previous to these, and it's been a while since we played Miles Morales. So, and I saved Miles Morales for the PS5. So, I played it when the PS5 came out and it was a great game. Loved it. One of the better ones in my opinion. And this one just, it's not grabbing me. So I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. It's just not grabbing me. It just seems, I don't know. It almost feels like a slog because they've all, it could be a combination. Like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, is it a combination of superhero fatigue and open world game fatigue? Like everything that's coming out anymore is open world, and so there's that aspect to it where when I log into the game, you're like, there's a bunch of crap I could do over here. Go take a bunch of photos in Spider-Man, or I could go do some unlock the Prowler vaults, or I could go find Sandman crystals, and I'm like, it feels like I played another Ubisoft game, at this point. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as Ubisoft is yet, but the way they've doubled up the map is it almost is, right? I have to scour the map as Miles to get all the stuff that only he can do, like the Prowler vaults, and then I have to scour the map as Peter to get all the Sandman crystals, So at some point, it is kind of like that. It's multi-layered at that point. I have to play one character, scour the map for this, and play another character. And there are things that both of them can do, like side missions can mostly be done by both, and things like that, all the photograph locations and stuff. But it's probably a combination of, for me, it's probably an open world fatigue and superhero fatigue at this point, because there's nothing technically wrong with the game, in my opinion. It's just, I get in there, I play it, I run around as Miles for as long as I can. Then they force me to play as Peter for a little while. And as soon as I can no longer have to play Peter, I go back to Miles. He has most of the suits. I've unlocked most suits on Miles's side, so I can swap between suits, and they share gear. They share the same skill tree, but you can put certain skills into Miles's side or Peter's side, or they have a combo skill tree, mostly fast travel or traversal type stuff. So I don't know. I figured the skill tree, in my opinion, is the weakest part of the game because it's pretty boring. I look at the skill tree every time I get points, and I'm like, nothing really says put a skill here to me that says this looks like a cool thing I want to do. I'm mostly like, let me put it in the combined skill tree first. Let me fill that one up since it's going to help for both, because nothing on the individual character side. I'm like, ooh, I got to have this, and even though I'm playing Miles, I have a single skill point in Miles and a single skill point in Peter's, and all the rest of them are dumped into the shared skill tree. So that's just me. Like I said, I'm struggling with trying to get into this game for any length. I could sit down and play for an hour or two, but then after that, I'm like, I just got to get off here. I'm like not feeling it. And it could be, like I said, we've just got done playing a huge open world game, Starfield. So I could probably have some fatigue from that open worldness and just wanting a really good story game at this point, So, but Nick, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on Spider-Man 2?
The Spider-Man.
The Spider's back.
He's back. Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. I'm pretty much along the same lines. I think the game's okay. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a horrible game, and I don't have really any bad thing to say about it. I think most of my stuff is the open world fatigue as well. And it's specific open worlds, right? It's the kind that you're in an open world and it's a laundry list, like a shopping list of things to do. And then you have the story elements. And I'm just tired of that. It's like I'm just tired of, like, these things don't necessarily, they do benefit you because, you get things from them, but it's like, they don't, I don't know. It's like, it feels like just a shopping list. And it was like, okay, start checking items off, right, as you go and do these things. And a lot of games do this. And there's a reason why they do it, right? Is to artificially inflate the play time. Because if you just did story, it'd probably be a much shorter game than, and you got to give players other things to do besides just follow the story quest. But I think for me, I'm just getting tired of playing games that throw you in this open world, and especially like, hey, Joe needs help at the coffee shop. You're like, I don't give a crap about Joe and his coffee.
If I have to put out one more tanker fire, I'm just going to lose my shit in this game.
I'm
There's
retiring.
tanker fire everywhere. There's a tanker fire every time you turn around in this game.
So, but that is one thing I do like about the Spider-Man games is none of that I feel forced to do like I always felt like in Assassin's Creed and stuff. Yeah, you could, because I haven't hardly touched any side stuff. If I'm running across it, it's a quick thwip and I can pick something up, I do it. I don't.
They lock all the best suits behind those items.
They do. But guess what? I don't care that much. I do think the game has a really good story, though. That's just a personal thing, but I think the game has a really good story. Even though I agree with you, Pat, I hate being forced to play with Peter, but sometimes you got to play with Peter. So but Miles Morales' abilities are the stronger of the two, as far as enjoyment, I think. I definitely agree with you there. Now, you do, as you progress, you do get new abilities and things like that, that kind of help kind of balance out a little bit, but I still think you're right. Miles is just, they're more unique and fun, I think. So, but the voice acting in this game, in the previous games as well, but in this game especially, they're just top notch. I'm a big voice acting guy. If you're going to do voice acting, do it right. And I think every voice in this game has really nailed it. Some of the character models, though, me and Pat were discussing. Some of them look. The generic enemy you fight have better facial models than some of the main characters do. Like Mary Jane, it's like they were trying to give her some special thing and just stopped at her forehead and eyes. I mean, I don't know what the hell they did to her. And then Harry was just kind of like a short scrotum. I mean, just
all the heads look like somebody dumped out a sack of potatoes, and they're like, this one's Mary Jane. This one's Harry Oswald. This one's the father.
Osborn.
This one's Osborn. Yeah, Oswald. They're Cobblepot Oswald. They're from Batman.
That's DC.
But that's what it looks like. It looks like somebody dumped out a sack of potatoes, and they're like, "Yep, this one's Mary Jane, and this one's that." That's what they look like. They look like they all have some sort of some side of facial deformity. Every one of them, except I don't think Miles and Peter do though. They look as close to normal as you can get. But I think every other main side character in the game that has their own little story arcs and stuff looks like somebody dumped out a sack of potatoes and just put their name by each potato.
Yeah, see, I agree. Your main side characters, they all have a weird head on, except for maybe Dr. Connors. He's probably the only one who looks slightly normal. That's maybe because he was anorexic. I don't know.
And because he's missing an arm, So.
And yeah.
You weren't focused on his face. You're focused on his
arm.
They
show his nub where his arm is missing, and it looks like a sphincter. Just going to put that out there. But no, I really like the game. I was kind of surprised that I would, because it's a threequel. Even though technically it's the second one, because Morales is still a $50 DLC, Sony. But I was worried about it because sequels are hit and miss, especially when you hit it the third time. You got to really watch those. And I think they did a fantastic job. I really enjoy the story of this one so far. I am not completed yet. I am probably pretty darn close because I've been just shoehorning the story missions. So I've not touched a bunch of side stuff. Take photo here, find
I get
this,
sidetracked by all that.
Well, when you hit the R3 button and then all that crap pops up on the map, I can see where you would, because you collect certain things, you get certain things out of it. Suits, abilities, powers, Mary Jane.
Pieces like piece to unlock armor, upgrade your power, upgrade your suits, upgrade your tech, all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a benefit, but I don't feel I have to do it, because on Spider-Man, the original one, I beat the game and then I went back and completed all the side stuff because I didn't need to do it. I never felt like I needed to do it. Granted, I probably could have beat it a lot easier if I'd have built up a little more XP, collected all this stuff. But I like the game. My biggest gameplay part of it, though, is frickin' Mary Jane. They did this crap on the first one. They're doing it on this one. You don't need Spider-Man. Mary Jane is a badass. So the whole game is about these terrorists from Kraven the Hunter. Now, that's not a spoiler. That's literally in the advertisement. Basically invading into New York City. Spider-Man getting his ass whooped by all of them. Miles getting his butt whooped. And here come Mary Jane. Well, I'll just stealth him with my taser. And so you got this taser, Mary Jane stealth missions where she's wiping out an army of assassins with her, gung-ho attitude and giant forehead and her taser. I mean, that just really drove me nuts. I hated it in the first one, and I freaking hate it in this one. And don't give me this empowering thing. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, if she maybe took one out, I can understand it. But I went through one level where I wiped out a platoon of a-holes with a taser and a plucky go-getter attitude. Sorry.
Yeah.
Had to put it out there.
Why Craven? That's my question. Why Craven?
I like Craven. I think
Craven,
they did a great job with him in this game.
I'm just going to say.
You just say it.
I know. All the Marvel people will be mad. I think it's just a stupid character. But hey, I don't know the backstory of Craven. Maybe he's cool. So I don't know.
Come on, Craven, Peter. That's a hell of a fight.
Mr. Jungle Man.
I know Shane sure does that. He likes the Craven Peter fight.
It makes me think of
Craven, Miles,
the hunter
Peter.
from Jumanji, the guy from the forest.
Is it his dad?
No. Well, it looked like his dad.
That was his dad.
It was the bad side of. Anyway, let's not get on Jumanji talk here.
Hold on, are you talking Robin Williams Jumanji or the Rock Jumanji?
Yeah. No.
Okay,
the good one.
Okay.
No, I think the new ones were good too, but
the new ones are good.
Yeah, they are.
But
the old one, the classic. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this game for me and Pat's okay. I think Shane really likes it more than we do as far as that goes. But again, I think from me and Pat, it's like we don't think there's anything wrong with the game. There's a lot of people that are really enjoying it. I think Insomniac did a great job. I'm really looking forward to more of is Insomniac's Wolverine. I think I'm a bigger Wolverine fan than I am Spider-Man. So I'm really looking forward to that. My son beat Spider-Man 2 already. So he loves Spider-Man. He's beaten the original Miles Morales and this one, and he's just going back doing side quests and stuff, anything that he's missed. But he really enjoyed it. For him, it's game of the year. I don't think it's going to get game of the year, but we'll talk about that another time.
Does he like Miles or Peter better?
I'm not sure. I didn't ask him.
Well, there's something wrong with him if you think this is game of the year. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, I already told him it's not going to get it. It's not going to get.
Did he even play
year.
Starfield? Did he even play Baldur's Gate?
He's very specific on the games he plays.
Yeah. If it didn't come with V-Bucks, he don't play much else.
Yeah.
He's a kid, though, so what can you expect?
Yeah, he's a kid.
And, if you're a kid or a kid at heart, you're going to love this game, or any Marvel fan, really. If you like Spider-Man, you're going to love this game. It's definitely the best. Insomniac's done a great job with Spider-Man. I mean, we've had other Spider-Man games in the past, and they all were kind of crappy. But once Insomniac took it over, they've done a great job with it. So kudos to them for what they've done.
Well, Insomniac's a good developer overall. I mean, they've had some misses, but I think for the most part, they do a fantastic job on all the games. Sunset Overdrive, to me, is still one of my favorite games of theirs. It was just so out of the park. It was so unique. It was fun. It was just
I enjoyed Sunset Overdrive. And then they're Infamous, isn't it? Infamous in that their series,
and Infamous Second Son.
Second Light or something, or and then Last Light, or Flashlight or something.
Flashlight? No, that's something different. I'll look that up. I can't remember.
Must have been a different one I saw.
Yeah, you're on the wrong.
They had one. They had like that DLC with the girl, that Infamous one. I can't remember what it was called. Last Light or Bright Light or Night Light.
Well,
Light Bright. I can't remember.
But that's still a different toy.
I mean, that's it's a different developer, though, right?
No, I'm pretty sure Insomniac made those games.
Insomniac.
I thought those were Sucker Punch.
Oh, no, shit. Right. Shoot. No, he is right.
I'm like, I don't remember these guys making that one.
Well, can't keep them straight.
Too many of them out there now. You think they're consolidating?
Well, what other games did Insomniac made then? They did Ratchet and Clanks. Okay.
Yes.
That's the other guys. Yeah, I got you. They did do Sunset Overdrive, but
yeah. Even Ratchet and Clank,
They're all owned by Sony, right?
Good.
Yeah, they are. I get those two. I get those two, like Sucker Punch and Insomniac, mixed up because I think Sucker Punch that also does like the Jax games?
Sucker Punch does Jack and Daxter. I'm pretty positive,
and they do the Sly Coopers too, right?
So they have a very similar library of games.
Yeah, because I always get those mixed up. Every time I see a Ratchet and Clank and then like the Jax things, I always think it's the same developer. But I mean, Sucker Punch did Ghost of Tsushima, so hopefully they'll do another one of those. But yeah, they do the Sly Cooper or whatever, Sly games, and then Jack and Dexter's, and then Ratchet and Clank. I always think it's the same developer on those, but it's not. It's two different ones.
Right.
But yeah, still though, all great games. I wonder what Sucker Punch is coming up with next. I don't know. Ghost of Tsushima 2, maybe?
I think that one's pretty much a guarantee.
I hope so.
I did play. I got about halfway through the PS5 version, the upgraded version. Mm-hmm. It's and I skipped all the side stuff because the game is so long, but it's so gloriously beautiful. And it plays so good. It runs so good. That's a game. That's a game that definitely deserved a sequel. As long as it's done right. I'm weary about sequels, but damn, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Ghost of Tsushima is a great game. I hope they make a second. I love that game, even though it was open world, and stuff like that. Like I don't know. I love the whole aesthetic and everything about that game. So hopefully make a sequel, but that's a different developer. Let's get back on track with Insomniac, who's making. You know what? Let's talk about Sucker Punch. No, I'm just joking. Let's get back on track with Insomniac. They just came out with Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 is doing really great for them. I think they've this is the fastest selling Spider-Man game is what they put out there. With lots and lots of players, lots of people online are absolutely loving it. So, if you have a PS5, it may come to PC at some point, but probably another year or so.
It'll be a year. It'll be $80.
Probably. I mean, Spider-Man eventually came to Steam, so I'm sure Spider-Man 2 will at some point. Probably about a year or so after.
Sony's getting better about pushing stuff to PC. It just takes like a year.
But I think they're going to end up with their own launcher on it eventually.
Either that, or I think they'll just start putting them in Steam a lot quicker than a year. I think they'll have closer. I don't think they'll be day and date on the PS5, but I think they'll be like a few months out between releases eventually, coming to PS5 to PC than the year break that they've been doing so far.
I think that'll all depend on sell speed. If it's selling well, they're not going to do anything anytime soon. I don't think you'll ever see a PlayStation game, new PlayStation game within 6 to 8 months of release.
I don't know.
So when that happens, Shane will eat his underwear. We'll make sure he does it.
I will watch.
They originally weren't going to put. They originally weren't going to put any games on PC. And then once they put out a few, and we're like, oh, this is selling pretty good.
They're missing out on a huge market by not putting it on PC.
Yeah. Because PC players are just that, right? They're PC players. And that's the only place they're going to play. You cannot convince them. If they're diehard PC players, you can't convince them to go buy a console. They're going to play it on PC. Or they're going to wait for the game to come there. And if it doesn't come there, they don't play it. So Sony's missing out on that market and where they could release them on their PS5. Because the people that have PS5s, they're going to play PS5, regardless if they have a gaming PC or not. They're going to play it on the console, right? They bought that first, or they have that for that reason. But those diehard PC players that only have, those people that only have one device, if PC is their one device, that's it, right? Same thing with if those people have PS5s or Xboxes or Switches or whatever, right? That's all they have. So Sony's missing out on that market, and they're slowly starting to build that market. And I think you'll see closer eventually. I think.
Well,
but
I would agree.
Anywho, back on the subject here. Spider-Man 2.
Back to Sucker Punch.
Back to Sucker Punch. Spider-Man 2. Yeah. So that's what we thought of it. Do you guys have anything else that you want to add to this?
No, I think it's a damn good game. I think it shows what this developer, not Sucker Punch, Insomniac, can do.
Yep. I mean, it's for me, it's a could have waited game. I didn't have to spend $70, but I did spend $70, so I could have waited.
Yep, I agree. I could have waited. My son probably wouldn't have let me because he was just chomping at the bit to play this game. But Dad, if he wasn't into it or whatever,
we had to spend his own money to get it.
Yeah. Start mowing the lawns. I would have waited right into fall season when mowing season's over with. I could have waited myself. I probably would have eventually picked it up, but it would have been way down the line before I did. Because there's just other games that are out that I need to play and other games that I'd rather play at the moment than Spider-Man. But it is what it is. It is a great game. It's an okay game for me and Pat. There's just something that that's just not putting us in the spider's web. We can't, it's not getting stuck to it. That sticky web is not sticky for us, but it is for Shane. He's got it all over him. But that's okay. Not everybody's going to like everything. Not everybody's going to enjoy everything, but we don't think the game's bad at all. I think it looks good, except for maybe they are selling dirt and not potatoes. Could be.
We
don't think the game looks bad. I think it does work really well in Fidelity mode. In performance mode, it does look kind of me, but I think it performs well in Fidelity mode. So I would say probably play it in that. If you're going to play the game, because it looks really nice and it plays really well in Fidelity mode. Most of the time, most games you have to switch to performance, but I think this game plays really well in Fidelity. So I'd say just keep it there. And I have the same problem that Shane does. I keep with the buttons. I would kept hitting the wrong buttons and doing like the wrong moves. And I just, for some reason, couldn't and that's just really going to be like over time, it'll become second nature, but off the get-go and stuff, I still get confused on what button does what button combination, I should say, because there's several combinations that do several different things. So it's a little hard to get used to. But again, like every game that has that, you'll get used to it after a while. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know down in the comments below. Have you played Spider-Man 2? Just about everybody that owns a PlayStation, I think, owns the game. So are you one of the people that have bought in this game? And what do you think? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let us know down in the comments below. What do you, whether you like or don't like about it? And do you think that it's game of the year? Let us know down below. As far as your personal game of the year, I don't think it's game of the year. I think it might be nominated for game of the year. I just don't think it's going to win. But we will, and stay tuned, everybody. If you've made it this far, stay tuned. Here in towards the end of November, we are going to be doing our game of the year for ourselves. It's ITD's game of the year for 2023. And we're going to be going over our own personal game of the year games, as well as what we think is going to win game of the year before December 7th, when the Game Awards happen and the game of the year gets announced. So stay tuned for that. There'll be more things out on our YouTube channel where I'll be talking, or at least putting information out there, letting people know that that's coming. So that should be exciting to watch. And you can see what our personal game of the years are that we enjoyed this year and we think is our own personal one, right? So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Peter Parker would do it. So would Miles. So hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification to stay updated with new videos that we do all the time. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.